Hello, Zach here, and we have a great guest on the podcast today, Mary Bartlett, who is the Vice President of Business Development at Montway Auto Transport. Mary, thanks so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thanks, Zach. I'm excited to be here.
So, as an icebreaker for the audience, could you share your journey into the automotive industry?
Yeah. So I started in the automotive industry almost 20 years ago. So my entire career, I always joke that, my parents probably thought we didn't send you to college to sell cars, but that's what I did. So it was kind of an accident, like a lot of people that end up in the industry. I got out of college and couldn't find a job. And so back then, Zach, we looked at the newspaper for jobs. That's how old I am. And and I'm looking at the newspaper and I'm seeing all of these dealers that are spending all of this money and putting their name in the newspaper. And so I went to a number of them and said, I have a marketing background, a marketing degree. Give me your marketing budget, put together a media mix, and if we sell cars, then you'll pay me a commission. And so, back then, marketing manager, marketing director wasn't a role that was really heard of in a dealership. Usually the GSM or the GM was doing all of that. So eventually, one of them offered me a job full time to do their marketing. And we were having this big offsite sale, brought all the group's inventory together, and I took an up. So all the salespeople were busy, and I sold my first car. And I made more money in that car sale than I was making in a week doing marketing. And so from there I was pretty hooked and have been in the industry since. I was on the dealer side, so the retail side for years, and then in about 2010 switched to the vendor side, went to go work for Carfax. Um, Worked with individual dealerships, new cars and used car dealerships. Uh, Eventually went to go work with automotive dealer groups at a headquarters location. And then when I left, I was supporting a team that was calling on about 3,800 automotive dealerships across the central United States. And I've been with Montway about 18 months.
Wow, really impressive background. And from your vantage point, since you've worked in retail, what are some of the most significant changes you've seen in the auto industry after leaving the retail side of the business as a GM? And anything you miss about the retail side?
So much has changed since I've been out of the retail side. I would say the most recent since the pandemic, right, is in inventory, right? Everyone talks about the inventory issues, and we'll talk a little bit about how Montway can help there as far as sourcing, but how hard it is to go out and buy truckloads of used cars. It's just very hard anymore. But one of the things that I would say, if I had to look back and learn what I would have done differently, I would say, being when I was in retail, is since obviously I've been out of it, I've bought a number of new and used cars and serviced them. And I did not do a great job of putting on my customer hat when I was running a store. I never went to the customer facing websites. I would go to the dealer backend websites and look at inventory. And I really think that I would have put myself in the customer's shoes more. Um, when you look at the top companies in the US and the world, right? I mean, they sell to customers the way that they want to be sold to. They make it convenient, easy. I mean, look at Amazon, for example, right? And I think that since the pandemic and today's customers are more educated than ever. And we as vendors and I believe as dealers need to be really mindful of that and provide an experience that they want to buy. I was at a conference a few weeks ago and I heard someone speaking say, customers don't buy cars, they buy experiences. And that's just not true in the car business. That's in everything, right? Because customers buy experiences. So
Definitely agreed. And, digital retail and the pandemic definitely, pushed that a little forward, as well as like other brands, outside the industry like Amazon and that,
mhm.
consumer focused experience. So I want to talk a little bit about Montway. What makes them best in class for auto transport and what's really unique about them?
So I would say when I talked about sourcing inventory a little bit ago, Montway was built backwards, is what I like to say. Like, so we were really built for like snowbirds, right? Moving your car from New Jersey to Florida. So one car at a time. And so when the pandemic hit, we were really in a unique situation because we had that carrier base and that network to move one car at a time, two cars, three cars, right? I mean, we love truckloads and all day long we'd love to move truckloads, but we are uniquely positioned, and I would say above anyone else in our industry for even the dealer now that's having to go out and source cars across the country, one, two, three cars at a time. The second thing I would say would be our people. So I was brought to Montway, like I said, 18 months ago to build a field sales team. And I have people across the country that are seasoned car people. They understand our dealers' pain points. They understand what it means to, if that car takes one more day or, what that costs them in holding cost, if it could cost them a sale. So they truly understand their pain points and I think are able to deliver a partnership and an experience for those dealer partners that's different than what they've had in the past. And then the third thing would be our technology, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But we provide some. It's the reason I came to Montway, a solution that I did not feel it was out there for dealers and dealer groups, and that's our Montway automated portal. So.
So, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about shipping cars or transportation companies in general from like the auto industry kind of dealer view?
Well, it's tough. It's a tough business, right? But I think that probably some misconception could be around that the self-serve model, posting the vehicles yourself on a load board versus what we call a managed service, a broker experience, which is what Montway is, that's much less expensive when it's really not. When you take into account um, with our portal, with our pricing, you're going to get an on-demand, real-time price. It's not going to change based on the market condition today. When you look at that
Hmm.
vehicle at the auction or yesterday and you buy it today or 2 days later, let's say that the load board increases 5,000 loads, whatever, that price stays the same. So, if you locked in real-time pricing, free technology to be able to track your shipments. Um, the protection that we provide and constantly vetting our carriers. And, just in case something slips through the cracks, Montway covers a $4 million umbrella policy that protects our dealerships and our dealer groups, just in case something does happen. I mean, that's expensive. Claims management. We have an awesome claims team that turns around those claims quickly. You have a damaged vehicle sitting in the back of your lot, it's costing you $30 to $40 a day in holding cost, right? So we want to get that check cut to you quickly. We're very good at that versus one of your employees having to manage it because you posted it on the load board and tracked down that carrier. Um, I would say, I had a meeting with a dealer group a few months ago, and the used car director was like, I wrote 155 checks. I signed
Hmm.
155 checks in the last 3 weeks for transportation. I go, what? This guy's like a seasoned industry leader, and you're spending time signing 155 checks. You just write me one, just give me one a month and we'd be happy. So it is a huge time savings. Our account management team being in the background where, your people that should be selling cars, desking deals are not on the phone with transporters and carriers all day long. So.
So let's talk a little bit about technology. In Q1 2024, Montway issued a press release about new features for the dealership in its M.A.P system. What is the M.A.P system and how does it distinguish itself from other inventory transportation management systems?
Mhm. So M.A.P stands for Montway Automated Portal. And again, it's what got me excited to come even to talk to Montway. I had two previous colleagues that I'd worked with for over a decade at Carfax that had come to work here. And when one of them first showed me this portal, like I said, it is a solution that is needed for dealerships and dealer groups. In a world where people don't have time to pick up the phone, they want a real-time quote. So the Montway Automated Portal is a solution for a single store all the way up to multi-store groups, right? So you're able to go in and, like I said, get a real-time quote that doesn't change. From there, you can book your transportation. You can upload your gate pass, so all of your documents are there. When the vehicle is picked up, a pickup BOL is generated, all right there in that order. Photo of the vehicle at pickup, delivery BOL when it's delivered, photos there within the portal. And then after that happens, an invoice is generated. So your office people can associate cost of that transport to that unit. In case you happen to sell the vehicle the same day it comes in, you pay the right commission. We don't expect you to send us a payment, of course. It's just a convenience that you have the invoice right there. And that stays in that invoice, in that order, even after it's archived. So if you have to go back and reference anything, it's not a stack of paper sitting on your desk or spreadsheets trying to figure out where this car is or what's happening with this car. Or did I even call and place this order? Did I even call and get someone going on this? It's You can copy and paste VINs and it auto populates the information about the vehicle. Um, all kinds of reporting that you can think of in regards to what you're paying for which lanes. But I think, well, I know for a decision maker at a headquarters location or platform location, or even just a GM over two stores, they're quickly able to go in and see a roll-up report and dashboard in regards to all of their transportation and inventory and what's happening. So that sets us apart, really having that roll-up experience for a decision maker. Um, and But really, we're on a mission here to bring some transparency around transportation, something that I think has definitely been missing in the industry.
And then the MAP system, if you could go into more detail on how it helps dealer groups manage and reduce transportation costs across multi-rooftops, maybe that's in the same city or different states, whatever the case may be.
Sure. So with a lot of our larger automotive dealer groups that we work with, we will pre-negotiate lanes. So, what I mean by that is, um, you have a store that buys quite a bit of inventory in Michigan, right? Maybe it's Michigan to Dallas or Riverside to Denver. Um, and we talk about that price ahead of time, and we will preload that price in that portal. So they know they're going to get that price every time they buy a vehicle from those particular lanes. Um, and again, currently, we're seeing record levels of loads on the load board right now. I mean, it's still
Hmm.
snowbird season. It's been hanging around. We thought it'd be gone by now, but the way Easter fell, it's really kind of stuck around. So, costs go up and they go down in this industry. And we don't, y- you know, we we don't just consistently raise our dealer's price. We work with them as partners. So it can give them it can give a dealership and a dealer group more consistency on what they're paying overall.
Interesting. And how do you see the future of automotive logistics and inventory management evolving? And what role will Montway play in this new landscape?
So I would love to see inventory management systems merge with brokers and not even there. Here's the thing: there's so many vehicles moving across the country. So many. Do I think Montway's the best broker out there? Of course, I work here, right? But a dealer inventory platform or solution that will incorporate multi-vendor options, right? We have a sister company, Ship.Cars, that actually host our technology, and they do have a multi-vendor platform. It's called LoadMate Pro. And so if you're a dealer group that you want to use more than one broker, you can put Montway and two other brokers, or one of the biggest objections that we hear is, hey, I got a guy. I'm a Dallas dealer. I've got a guy that's been moving cars for me from Houston to Dallas for 20 years, and they do a great job. That's great. Don't take that from him or her. If they're doing a great job for you, there's more business for me out there. Let me look at getting your vehicles from, like I said, Michigan, Riverside, PA, wherever. But if by using that multi-vendor solution that you could have Montway on there and the guy you've been using for 20 years. So I see technology of, in this space evolve already has it's already here. It's just getting dealers to implement it, and use it at their stores and their groups.
So, kind of a comedic question, but what's one or two of your favorite stories of how Montway went above and beyond to help a dealer in a transportation rut or some sort of situation?
Yeah. So I got a couple, but one that stands out is I have a rep in Houston, and we had just brought on this pretty big group, and we were really excited. And it was our third move, I believe. And the third move happened to be moving a vehicle, actually a personal vehicle for one of the general managers that he had sold. And it was going a couple thousand miles away. And our first carrier didn't show up when he was supposed to, um, and supposed to be there at noon. Didn't show up. It's 6 o'clock that evening, and he tells us he's going to be there. And so my rep and I decided we'd stay on that side of town. We wouldn't go on the other side of Houston until that vehicle was picked up. So we went to grab some dinner. And while we are in there, the GM of the store calls us and says, "Hey, they picked up the vehicle. Um, however, your driver hit one of my new cars pulling in." Um, and so we're late, and now we've damaged a new car, right? And so the the vehicle gets loaded. He goes on his way. We let him know, hey, we will be in touch with you tomorrow because this GM wanted to go home. So we go get in our vehicle to drive to the other side of Houston, and our vehicle that we're driving had been broken into. So it was just an all-around bad day. So we get in the car, we drive all the way across Houston, 45 minutes, broken in vehicle, stole all of our stuff. So we had no computer, anything. But the next day, when that dealership opened at 8:30, 8:45, we were in the front doors. You got to go back, right? You've got to go back and handle the problem with the dealer, and we did, and we made it right. And that's one thing about Montway is that we stand with our dealer partners. If we make a promise or something goes wrong, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna make it right, and we did. And he still does business with us today. Great partner. Um, let's see. Another one. Okay, so another one is Thanksgiving this last year. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I have a dealer group we work with in another South Texas dealer group that had sold a truck to an influencer in California, and carrier gets there and he can't fit the truck on his vehicle. So I don't know if that was the reason why or not, or he just wanted to go home and eat turkey. Either way, I had to get this vehicle to California. I'm on the phone with this dealer, and I can hear my family outside my office. And long and short of it, we hired a very expensive company, transport company, to get it there, and it was delivered on time. But
Wow.
it was delivered. The influencer was happy. Nobody was being talked about or blogged about or whatever happens these days. And again, that dealer's still a great partner of ours. So, but the key is you got to go back, right? You got to help your partner.
Yeah, those are two just awesome examples of Montway going above and beyond. So, to kind of close out the podcast, I wanted to ask you what's coming down the pipeline in 2024 for Montway as well as yourself?
Yeah. So I would say, I mean, we're going to keep growing. We have Montway has been growing and growing and growing, especially over the last 5 to 6 years, and that's our plan: is to keep growing market share. Utilize the team that they've invested in myself and the team that I have across the country to use the partnerships and the knowledge that we have with automotive groups and dealers and used car dealers, to help Montway grow overall.
That's awesome. And Mary, really enjoyed having you on the podcast, especially hearing those stories about Montway. So thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.